So this is the Carrera 2 S 2006, and the air conditioning unit, well, isn't air conditioning. In low, it's blowing around about 29 degrees C, which is rather warm inside the car. And when I took a look at the gas pressure, well, there isn't any. So we need to diagnose the fault, repair that, and get it regassed. So let's go right ahead and do that. So as I said earlier, folks, I did test the pressure in the system, but let me just show you how we do that. So we'll just pop up the front. And underneath this panel where the battery is located, a little twist of these two locators, and that will lift out. And you can see this just here. So if we remove this gas valve cover and grab a screwdriver, inside you will see there's a little valve. If you depress the valve, if there's any pressure in there, you'll hear a hiss. Nothing. So there's absolutely no gas in that system. So we have a leak somewhere. So let's see if we can find it. So a common problem on this model of Porsche and others are the front condenser units for the air conditioning. And they sit behind these grills either side of the bumper. So if we get the light in here and take a look, so you can see that there's lots of debris in the bottom. That should really be cleaned out every service. My service was done a year ago, so it's due to be done. But you can see that there's some nicks and marks where things have hit this this particular condenser. So let's take it to the other side then. Source of the leak. There we go. See on the right hand side that discoloration? So I would suggest that the top of that radiator or condenser has taken a hit or it's corroded. So what we'll do is the bumper's got to come off and we have to replace this condenser. So we might as well replace both at the same time because they're both, 16 years old, both pretty beat up. So let's go ahead and take the bumper off. So to start with, we're going to jack up the front of the car and take the front wheels off. This will give us the opportunity to take the inner wheel linings out, and then we can see how this bumper comes off. So if you look at this, this is really bad. So all the retaining collets are just wrecked. So I think this calls for a new set of wheel nuts. So it's the same on the other wheel, guys. Look, the wheel nuts, the retaining collets are absolutely shot. And in some cases, the nuts come straight through them. So definitely going to have to get a new set of wheel nuts before those wheels go back on. So while the wheels are off then, this is a good opportunity to check the condition of our brakes. So you can see here that front brake disc looks fine. A little bit of scoring, but that's perfectly fine. And there's no lip. So we're all good there. Caliper's very dirty, so we'll give that a clean before we put it back together. And if we take a look around at the brake pads, you can see there's lots of life left in those. So I'll go ahead, I'll clean up that caliper, and then we'll get on with removing the wheel arch liners. So I'm going to use some Muck Off. It's just my favourite product, primarily for cleaning the motorbikes, but it's good for cleaning anything. So we'll get right on, clean up that caliper, and it'll be back to shiny red in no time. So to remove the inner lining then, we've got two T25 Torx here. We have two more T25 Torx up there, but that's not the end of the story. If we go underneath the bumper, we have a T30 right here, T30 up in here. We have a T25 here. This is obviously holding the bumper, so it's a good idea to take this off at this point. And those 8 T20 and T25s will take off the inner lining. So let's do that on both sides, and I'll see you in a minute. So there, underneath the wheel arch you have the 4 T20s, and underneath the bumper area you have the 4 T25s. So I'll do the other side and then we'll take them out. And wouldn't you know it, I missed the T25. From the front of the bumper, if you come further back, you'll see at the rear part of the plastic there's another T25 just here. So actually you have 4 T20s under the wheel and 5 T25s underneath the area underneath the car itself. So we'll pop this one out, then I'll do the same on the other side, and then we'll have an inspect to see how do we get the rest of the bumper off. Okay, so with all those Torx bolts removed, this thing is still in here pretty damn tight. Can't move the bumper out at this point, but if we wiggle the top over, you see this gap here opens up, and up behind the gap, I'm not sure if you can see it really very well in the video, there's one T25 there, and that will allow the bumper to move out, and then the wheel arch lining will just drop out. So let's do that. Now, as always, we can inspect what's going on inside and make sure we're happy with everything. If there's anything that needs cleaning, greasing or replacing, we can do that at this point, because putting these things in and out is a pain in the ass. Right then, let's see how this bumper actually comes off. So we have these plastic trims. We know we can take these off by removing the rubber. These side bits will just lift out. They're held in by some little Velcro strips, and we can peel out the front. Just be careful that the little tabs here which sit behind the wings don't get ripped off. Same on the other side. You can just pull these out and just unhook that. And the fun part is this little handle. We can lift the plastic forward, and we can actually just tip it underneath the little red handle. And that's it, the plastic's right. I think that's the only piece that Porsche designed to do easily. Now, immediately I can see there is 1, 2, 3, what look like T30s. So let's find a T30 and pop those out. So the interesting thing on a Porsche is that they have these, let me see if I can move the camera. They have these little retainers that sit between the wing and the bumper. This thing right in there. This thing has to come out in this direction. So you need a little hook tool or something similar. So let's see if I have one, or if not, I'll have to make one. So I don't have a tool that will remove the Porsche bumper retainer clips. So guess we'll have to make one. And I think what I'm going to use is a simple bit of wire. I'm going to fold it in half like this, ding, 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 and create a loop, and then just twist them together. I twist them one over the other, not just one round one, because I actually want some strength in it. Now I think if I can loop that over, give it a tug, it should come out. Let's take a look. Oh, that works. And what do you know? The retaining clip is removed. Let's try the other side. Same on the other side. So those retainers are pulled back, so that should allow us to pull the front bumper off. So with the bumper almost off, I can see that the items stopping it coming away now are the washer jets for the headlamps. So it's going to be difficult to film disconnecting that pipe from kind of in this gap here between the headlamp. So I'm just going to go right ahead and remove it, and then I'll show you when the bumper is off. Actually folks, in the end it is just this simple pull to disconnect connector, and that pulls off the or disconnects the front washers. So now we will remove the front bumper completely and put it in storage. So with the bumper off and stored safely over there, you'd expect it's time to pop off the condensers, pop in the new ones, and stitch it all back together, right? This is Porsche. Of course not. There's still more parts to remove, so let's take a look. So behind the bumper is this big shroud, and the shroud directs air from the front air dam through across the radiators, and obviously the air conditioning condensers, which are the parts we want to replace. So we now need to remove this shroud before we can get into the air conditioning condenser. Wow, lots and lots of debris come out, and what we can see now is that we can clear all this crap out here, but finally we can get to these condensers. And this one, you can see clean white patch there, this big streak of, and it is damp and oily, and it's come from up here. So you can see that this is the condenser that's busted, but like I said at the beginning, we'll replace both of them just for good measure. So to remove the condensers then, it's a 6mm Allen key into this here, and then the same on the other side into this one here, and that will remove the air conditioning pipes. And there we have one manky old condenser off. Interestingly, what we will do is we will take off this plastic shroud and we'll reuse that on the new condenser. But there we go, one very dead Porsche 997 air conditioning condenser. So they're shipped with these little things in, and the idea is that the air conditioning condensers are shipped under pressure, or with pressure in them. So it stops any moisture and those kinds of things getting in, and that means it's not going to damage our air conditioning system once they're fitted. So I'll go right ahead, fit the other condenser, remove these and reconnect the pipes. And there we have one completely refitted condenser. So next thing for us to do is to put the whole front of the car back on, and of course we're going to replace the wheel nuts. As we saw earlier, the carriers were very corroded and breaking apart, and then once it's all back together, we're going to give GP Auto Climate Scott a call and ask him to come over and regas it and test the system. So yeah, let's get on with that. And there we have it, the bumper's back on. One of the things I did while the bumper was off and the lights were out, you see that this one is clear, and I had a little go at making this one dark. So I'm going to take this out for a road test, see what I think, and then either I'll tint the other side or I'll take the tint off. Remember folks, back when we talked about wheel nuts right at the very beginning, we had some wheel nuts that were basically falling to pieces. So let me show you what I mean by that. This particular one here you can see that all this is just going to flake off. So these are just totally disintegrated. So I've been out, I've bought a whole new set of wheel nuts. So as the wheels go back on, it will go on with these. So yeah, that's it. So I'm not going to video putting the wheels back on, you've all seen that before. So folks, here we are, we're at GP Auto Climate. Scott now is going to drain down the system, which is something that he has to do anyway. Scott, so just explain the process of what we do to re-gas the car.
Okay, so you've now changed the rads because you had no in there. So what we'll now do is we'll do a nitrogen leak test. We'll pump the system with nitrogen first, make sure it holds pressure, and then we'll put it on a vac for half an hour, which will basically pull all the air out of the system, all the moisture out, create a vacuum, and then that will draw the new gas back in.
Cool, thanks Scott. So the nitrogen test then revealed no leaks that we could detect, which is great. So now what Scott's going to do, as he mentioned earlier, is get the vacuum pump on, and for the next 30 minutes he's going to vacuum all of the gas, any moisture, and create that vacuum inside the system. And so there we have it with the aircon regassed. We can see that we've got 15 and 2. 15 is in the red one on the high side, blue is in the 2 on the low side. We've added 820 grams of R134A gas. And with 22 degrees air temperature, you can see that air conditioning on blow is now dropping to kind of 13.8, 13.9 degrees, which is pretty damn good. Hey folks, so thanks for watching, and what you've seen in this video is that it's not all that difficult to get right on and do some of these jobs for yourself. So for £84, that's around about $100, we've replaced 2 air conditioning densers on the Porsche 997, and we've regassed that aircon. So these are things that you can do for yourself in your own home, in your own garage, with some very basic tools, as I've demonstrated today. Stay tuned, because in the next video we're going to do some work on the van, and that's the van that transports the racing lawnmower up and down the country, because we kind of have no rear brakes. So stay tuned for that episode. Also, if you do like this channel and you like the content that I'm putting out, please do click the button below and subscribe. And folks, take it easy, and I will see you on the next one.